Fifth grade Excel, lesson 112, converting percents to decimals, computing the percentage of a whole number. To change a percent to a decimal, first drop the percent symbol, then convert the percent to a fraction by putting the percent as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. This can be done because percent means parts per hundred. So here's an example. 48% means 48 hundredths, which means 0.48, 48 hundredths. Let's take a look at number 2. 7% means 7 out of 100, which means is it 0.7 for 7%? No, it's 0.07, 0.07. That's 7 hundredths. If you were to write 0.7, that's equal to 7 out of 10. This is not 7 out of 10, it's 7 out of 100. So the correct answer is 0.07. All right, pause the video, do 3 and 4, turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. So 30% is equal to 30 out of 100, 30 hundredths, which is 0.30, or you can write 0.3 because that 0 is meaningless on this one. This 0 on this one is not meaningless. That's holding an empty place that's sandwiched in between the decimal point and the number. 93% is 93 over 100 because percent means out of 100, and that's 93 hundredths. All right, let's move on. So to find percent of a number, as we talked about in a previous lesson, when you see this percent symbol written in a problem, it's almost always going to mean that you're going to multiply to solve that. So when it says what is 34% of 8, you're going to change 34% to 0.34, which you should be able to do in your head pretty easily. You don't need to show this part. But 0.34 then is multiplied by the 8. And that comes out to be, in this case, 2.72. Notice there's no label because it doesn't have, this is not like a traditional word problem. We don't know what this 2.72 is. It's just a number. And then number 6 says what is 25% of 50? 25% is 0.25, so they multiplied 50 times 0.25. Remember, I see a percent symbol, and when I see a percent symbol in the question, it usually means I'm going to be multiplying to solve that answer. And 50 times 0.25 is 12.50, or 12.5. All right, let's do this first one together. What is 50% of 19? Oh, I see a percent sign. Looks like I'm going to multiply. 50% is equal to 0.5 or 0.50. That 0 is meaningless because 5 tenths and 50 hundredths are the same thing. So I'm going to do 19 times 0.5. I like putting the single digit number down on the bottom. It seems to go a little quicker. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 4. 1 times 5 is 5 plus 4 is 9. And then I have to move my decimal point over halfway. And think about this, 50% means a half. Most of you know that if you do a half of something, that's 50%. And half of 19. Half of 19 is 9.5. That makes perfect sense because half of 20 is 10, so half of 19 would be 9.5. All right, why don't you pause the video, do 8, 9, and 10. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble with these. Turn it back on when you're ready to see the solution. 67% of 40, 67% can be written as 0.67, and we're multiplying that times 40. You can't drop the 0 off on the 40. This is not 0.40, this is the number 40, and I've had kids that throw that 0 away. No can do. If it's 0.40, you can get rid of the 0. But this is not 0.40, this is the number 40. So we just put a 0 down for a placeholder and multiply 7 times 4, which is 28. Carry the 2, 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 is 26. So the answer is, oh, and then I got to move the decimal point over 2 spots because there's 2 spots in the question. The answer is 26.8 or 0.80. What is 90% of 25? 90% is 0.90. Now that 0 is meaningless because it's not sandwiched between the decimal point and the number. So I can do 25 times 0.9. You could have put the 0.9 or 0.90 on the top. Doesn't make any difference. It'll come out the same, but to me this is a little bit easier. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. 2 times 9 is 18. plus 4 is 22. And we move the decimal point over one spot for this one spot here. And 90% of 25 is 22.5. Let's think about whether that answer makes sense. 90%, that means most of something, right? If you get a 90% on your test, you got almost all the questions right. Well, if there were 25 questions on the test and you got 22 or 22.5 right, that makes sense for 90%. If you write the answer of 2.25, wait a minute, 90%, almost the whole thing, is getting 2 right on a test with 25 questions? Makes no sense at all. But 22 right does make sense. This last one, 0.52 times 61, or you could put the 61 on the top, doesn't make any difference. 52 times 1 is 52. Put a placeholder. 2 times 6 is 12, and that's 31. And then you add it together and get 31.72. And there they are. Thanks for watching.